My dear friends, I'm Dr. James Walker, and for more than 30 years working in men's health across major hospitals in the United States, I've heard countless stories men rarely say out loud. Maybe you've felt it too. One morning you look in the mirror and suddenly the man who used to feel strong, full of energy, seems to have stepped back a little. Not because you've become weak, but because your body is trying to tell you something you've ignored for far too long. One of my patients, John, 62, once told me something I'll never forget. Doctor, I just don't feel like myself anymore. Not sick, not exhausted, just missing the fire I once had. And I know that feeling doesn't belong to him alone. Many American men after 50 have sighed the same way. Sometimes it's after work when the body has no energy left. Sometimes it's lying next to their wife wanting intimacy, but the body isn't responding like before. Sometimes it's simply feeling slower, less excited about the things that used to bring joy. Have you ever felt that way? If you have, then this video is for you. Today I want to begin a gentle but meaningful journey. A journey to help you rediscover your natural vitality after 50 through something nature has given us for thousands of years: herbal tea. Some people ask me, Dr. why tea? Isn't it just something we drink to stay warm? I usually smile. Because tea is not just a drink. Tea is a philosophy. A small ritual that lets the body rest, the mind slow down the blood flow, open up, and hormones, the very thing that makes us feel like men, find their balance again. I want you to imagine this: a warm cup of tea heat spreading down into your stomach, rising to your chest, radiating through your arms. Your heartbeat slows, your breathing deepens, and your body used to years of stress finally softens. Tea can do that in a gentler and more lasting way than any pill. Throughout my career, I've spent a lot of time observing the small changes tea brings to my patients, especially men in their 50s, 60s, even 75 or 80. One man, 58, who suffered from chronic fatigue, told me after drinking the right tea daily that his body felt like an old engine finally getting oiled. Another 67 shared that he no longer felt his energy shutting down halfway through the day, something he thought was aging, but was really about poor circulation. These changes are small but very real, and together they create a major difference in libido, stamina, and masculine strength. In this video, I'll walk you through the 7 best teas for men's vitality after 50 teas backed by modern science, yet trusted by people for hundreds of years. Each tea has its own story, its own purpose, its own quiet, powerful influence on men's health. I want you to feel this video not like a medical lecture, but like a conversation among experienced men. Men who understand that real strength isn't always about muscle or youth, but about resilience, clarity, and reconnecting with our own bodies. We'll talk about teas that boost circulation to the most important areas, teas that support male hormones, teas that increase energy and reduce stress, the #1 enemy of vitality, and the right ways to prepare them, methods many of my patients have used successfully. This journey isn't about turning you into someone else. It's about helping you return to yourself, the strong, steady, vibrant man you've always been. Before we move on, I want to say this. What you learn here may change the way you care for yourself for the rest of your life. So if you find this video helpful, please help me share it with other men who may quietly be struggling too. Hit like so YouTube can recommend it to those who need it. Share it with a brother, a friend, or your partner. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any part of this journey. And I'd love to read your stories, questions, or experiences in the comments below. I'm Dr. James Walker, and we're about to begin an important journey in your life. My dear friends, when we talk about men's vitality after age 50, many people immediately think of pills, the little blue ones, the red ones, or the endless supplements advertised on TV and the internet. And I understand why. Because when men begin to feel their bodies slowing down, their confidence fading, the first thing we want is a fast solution, a strong push, a pill that brings back masculinity tonight. But I want you to sit down for a moment, take a deep breath, and listen to this story. Years ago, I met a patient named Michael, 57. He walked into my office looking embarrassed, as if he were confessing something men aren't supposed to admit. Doctor, I tried those pills, and yes, they work, but afterward I feel drained. My heart races, my head feels heavy, and the next morning I'm almost out of energy. I looked at him and asked one question. When was the last time you cared for your body from the inside? He stayed silent for a long time. Because that's what many of us men forget. Vitality isn't something you can borrow from a pill. Vitality is something that must be nourished slowly, consistently, and genuinely. This is why I want to talk about tea. Not because tea is magic, but because tea reaches the roots that pills never touch. In my 30 years of work, one of the most important lessons I've learned is a man's body after 50 doesn't need stimulation, it needs restoration. Stimulation is like stepping on the gas of a weak engine. It runs fast for a few minutes, then breaks down quicker. Restoration is changing the oil, cleaning the engine, caring for every part so the machine becomes strong again. Tea is that restoration. I want you to imagine this. Every day we stress, we rush meals, sleep too little, think too much, and drink coffee nonstop to stay awake. These things are like tiny scratches that accumulate over the years. The cardiovascular system gets tired. The nervous system is overloaded. Hormones become imbalanced. And blood circulation, the most important factor for maintaining vitality, becomes restricted. No pill can fix all that, but tea can begin that repair, little by little. When you drink ginger tea, your blood vessels open gently. When you drink ginseng tea, your adrenal glands relax and restore natural energy. When you drink saffron tea, your mood rises, serotonin increases, bringing back desire naturally. Slow, gentle, but lasting. And life at 50, 60, 70 needs lasting strength, not quick flashes. I remember one afternoon in my clinic, a 72-year-old man named Robert asked me, "Am I too old to recover, doctor? Should I just accept that my best years are behind me?" I smiled. "Absolutely not. Your body just needs the right kind of nourishment." Then I gave him a simple tea routine: morning, cinnamon tea to open circulation; noon, light matcha for clarity without stressing the heart; evening, saffron to calm the mind. 2 months later, he came back with a completely different smile. "Doctor, I'm not just stronger, I feel more alive." He used the words "more alive." And I understood why. Because tea doesn't just affect the body, it affects how we feel about ourselves. What about the science? Large U.S. studies show that polyphenols, flavonoids, and alkaloids in tea help increase nitric oxide, which opens blood vessels, reduce inflammation, the top cause of erectile issues, boost natural testosterone, lower stress, the fastest killer of desire, even more than age. These changes don't happen in 10 minutes, but they do happen. And when your body is rebuilt from the inside, you won't just be stronger in intimacy. You'll be stronger in life. Tea slows you down, makes you sit, breathe, listen to your body, something men rarely do. And sometimes those 5 quiet minutes a day are more powerful than any pill. My dear friends, if what I've shared helps you understand why natural tea holds such special power for men after 50, I truly hope you'll continue this journey with me. Hit like to support this helpful content. Share this video with the men you care about. Subscribe and turn on notifications for the next parts, and leave your questions, stories, or experiences in the comments. I want to hear from you. My dear friends, when we are young, the body is like a powerful furnace. Everything is fast, sharp, and full of energy. But when we enter our 50s, 60s, and 70s, that flame begins to soften. It doesn't disappear, it just waits for the right way to be awakened again. And in more than 30 years of working with thousands of patients, I've learned something important. Many men don't lose vitality because their bodies are weak. They lose it because their blood circulation slows down. If the blood doesn't flow strongly, warmly, and with enough force, energy drops, desire drops, and the body's response drops. And for men, our vitality depends heavily on whether blood reaches the places it needs to go. That's why I want to begin the list of 7 teas with something simple but incredibly powerful: ginger tea. Ginger isn't unfamiliar. We've seen it our whole lives in the kitchen, in chicken soup, in a warm cup on cold days. But very few people understand how powerful it really is for older men. A single cup of ginger tea can do something many expensive pills can't. It wakes up your circulation, warms blood vessels that have gone cold, and restores the natural flow of energy. You drink it, and just a few minutes later, you feel warmth spreading from your chest to your stomach, then to your hands, and even to places you thought would never feel warm again. Imagine this: a river that has been slowed by years of mud and silence. The water is still there, just lazy, sluggish. All it needs is a gentle push. Ginger tea is that gentle but steady push. Let me tell you a true story. Years ago, I had a patient named Harold, 64, a strong man, a construction worker for 30 years. But after retirement, he began feeling cold easily, his hands and feet numb, and intimacy wasn't the same. He didn't want pills. He told me, "Doctor, I don't want to depend on any pill. I just want my body to do what it used to do." So I gave him one simple instruction: Harold, drink ginger tea every morning for 2 weeks. Don't mix it with anything. Don't quit halfway. Just give your body a chance. 2 weeks later, he came back with a smile I still remember. Doctor, I didn't know ginger was that strong. My body feels warm, and everything else feels warm too. We laughed because we both understood exactly what he meant. Harold continued drinking it for months. Not only did his vitality return, but his morning energy improved. He started walking more, sleeping deeper, and feeling mentally clearer. All from something anyone can do: a cup of ginger tea each day. Scientifically, ginger is one of the most effective natural herbs for boosting circulation. It helps blood vessels expand, gently increases blood flow, especially to the sensitive areas men need for healthy desire and natural erections. It also reduces inflammation and oxidative stress, two things that weaken blood vessels as we age. Remember this: male vitality isn't about instant strength. It's about the quality of your blood vessels. Healthy vessels, strong blood flow, better response, natural vitality returns. Ginger tea is the simplest daily way to do that. One thing many of my patients love about ginger tea is this: after just 7 to 10 days, they already feel a difference. Not a dramatic transformation, but the return of a masculine feeling. Something hard to describe, but unmistakable once it comes back. A warm sensation, a quiet confidence, a reawakening of something you thought had gone to sleep. For older men, what we need isn't always an explosion, it's the return of feeling. Ginger tea brings that back. I want you to try something tonight. Make a simple cup of ginger tea. Sit down, take one slow sip, and listen to your body for 2 to 3 minutes. You will feel something shift, even if very small. When your body warms, relaxes, and blood flows better, hope naturally returns, the hope that things can improve, that age isn't the end of vitality, but the beginning of a wiser, gentler, deeper way of living. If you're hearing this and it resonates with you, I hope you'll continue this journey with me through all 7 T's for men's health after 50. Hit like if you want more helpful content. Share this video with your partner, your brother, or a friend. Subscribe and turn on notifications for the next part. Leave a comment with your story or questions. I read all of them. My dear friends, if ginger tea is the warmth that wakes up circulation, then red ginseng tea is the powerful companion that helps the body restore itself from within, something many men over 50 never expect. In Eastern traditional medicine, ginseng is known as the elixir of vitality. In modern medicine, we call it an adaptogen, meaning a substance that helps the body adapt balance and rebuild natural energy. And with more than 30 years as a physician, I can tell you this: there aren't many herbs that support men's health as strongly and reliably as red ginseng. But I want to tell this through a more personal story, one of the patients I remember most. Years ago, I met a man named William, 61. He had gone through a difficult period: early retirement, unstable blood pressure, chronic insomnia, and a deep fatigue that made him feel like a faded shadow of the man he once was. "Doctor," he said, lowering his voice, "I'm not the man my wife used to know. I'm out of energy, out of interest, out of life." That wasn't just about intimacy. That was a man feeling like he had lost himself. I nodded quietly, because I've heard this countless times from men in their 50s and 60s. And that's when I introduced him to red ginseng tea. Here's something fascinating about red ginseng. It doesn't create fake energy. It doesn't force the body to run faster than it wants. It restores the original energy, the energy life, stress, and time have slowly worn down. If ginger wakes up circulation, ginseng wakes up a man's inner strength. When you drink red ginseng tea, the first thing you feel isn't excitement, it's a gentle clarity. A calm focus, not jittery like coffee, not rushed, just a steady reminder that your body still remembers how to be strong. It's a very masculine energy, but also very grounded. Not explosive, not frantic, just stronger. Scientifically, red ginseng influences 3 of the most important systems for men's vitality. Testosterone. Studies from Korea and the US show ginseng increases natural testosterone, not by adding hormones, but by activating your own internal production. 2. Blood circulation. It gently widens blood vessels, reduces cardiovascular fatigue, and increases blood flow to sensitive areas. 3. Nervous system and emotional health. It lowers stress, reduces anxiety, and restores neural energy, the 3 fastest killers of male vitality. Do you see a tea that supports all 3 systems? That's why many call red ginseng the tea of warriors. Back to William's story. When I gave him a simple routine red ginseng tea each morning with a little raw honey, he nodded and said, "I'll try. I've got nothing to lose." 2 weeks later, he came back, and the smile on his face, I still remember it. Doctor, it woke me up. I sleep better, I wake up with more energy, and I feel more like a man again. He whispered that last line, and I understood immediately. That energy wasn't the energy of a 20-year-old. It was the energy of a seasoned man, someone who had lived, struggled, endured, and found his strength again. Another important thing, red ginseng is very suitable for men with fluctuating blood pressure or heart fatigue when taken in the proper amount and not brewed too strong. It helps stabilize cardiovascular function, improves physical stamina, and reduces afternoon exhaustion, a very common issue for men over 50. And most importantly, when the body becomes strong again from the inside, intimacy returns naturally, not by force, but by restoration. My dear friends, red ginseng tea isn't about becoming a different man. It's about returning to the strongest version of yourself, a version that feels strong inside, a version that can walk longer without getting winded, a version that thinks clearer, focuses better, and feels more emotionally balanced. A version who can look at his partner and feel the deep connection that once came so naturally. Men over 50, we are not weak. We just need to care for our bodies in a different way. And red ginseng tea is one of the simplest, strongest tools to do that. If this message resonates with you, if you feel a spark of the energy I'm talking about, I hope you continue with me on this journey. Hit like to help this message reach more men. Share this video with your partner, your brother, or your best friend. Subscribe and turn on notifications for the next parts, and leave a comment, your story, your questions. I read every one of them. My dear friends, if ginger wakes up circulation and ginseng wakes up energy, then masa, the root from the Andes Mountains of Peru, wakes up what men need most after age 50, hormones and mood. And I say this not only as a doctor, but as someone who has watched hundreds of patients transform their lives thanks to this surprisingly simple tea. There is something many American men don't know. Sexual health isn't just about how strong the blood flows. It is directly tied to hormones, especially testosterone, the thing that gives us strength, drive, confidence, desire, and a sense of being ourselves. But testosterone doesn't disappear in a day. It fades slowly because of stress, lack of sleep pressure, fast food, and time. That's why many men after age 50 feel like they're not themselves anymore. Not because they're old, but because their hormones have dropped below a healthy threshold. That's where maca enters the story. I remember a patient named Charles, 59, from Colorado. He came to me looking more confused than worried. He said, Doctor, there's nothing obviously wrong with me, but I feel like I've lost all motivation. I don't feel joy. I don't feel excitement. I don't feel desire, even when I want to. I looked at him and asked, do you know what controls a man's desire, energy, and emotions? He quietly answered, hormones. Exactly. And when hormones drop too low, no pill can fix the root of the problem. They must be awakened from within. I gave Charles a very simple routine, 1 cup of maca tea every morning and 5 minutes of breathing every night to reduce stress. 1 month later, he returned with a completely different spark in his eyes. Doctor, it feels like someone flipped a switch inside me. We both laughed because it wasn't a coincidence. Maca is often called the ginseng of the Andes, but it has a very specific effect on men. If ginseng gives you energy, maca helps your body create natural testosterone, again gently but steadily. What I love most about maca is this. It doesn't force your body to raise hormones. It helps your body recalibrate itself, finding the natural balance it used to have when you were 30 or 35. That's why in Peru, older men still drink maca daily, not to become 20 again, but to maintain strength, stability, and emotional balance. When you drink maca tea, the first thing that changes isn't desire. The first change is mood. You feel lighter, less stressed, less irritable, less reactive, and especially less afternoon fatigue, a problem almost every man over 50 experiences. When your mood lifts, the body opens the hormone switch. And when hormones rise, desire, the thing you thought time had taken away, starts waking up again. Not with a dramatic jump, but with a gentle, real return. In modern medicine, we call maca a nutritional adaptogen because it helps the body adapt to stress and regulate hormones through essential amino acids that help create hormones, unique alkaloids that support the adrenal glands where energy and testosterone are regulated, natural minerals that improve blood quality and oxygen flow to the reproductive organs. Gentle, slow, but real and lasting. That's why many men after their second or third week of maca tea start telling me, Doctor, I don't know how to explain it, but my masculine energy is coming back. And they all say it with the same look, a little surprise, a little hope, and a lot of relief. I want you to imagine this. An old electrical wire with weak, inconsistent signals. After proper maintenance, the current becomes steady again, not because the wire is new, but because it has been cleared and restored. Maca creates that same feeling. It doesn't make you 20 again, but it makes your masculine energy clearer, stronger, and more consistent. And sometimes that's exactly what we need. You can try this. A cup of maca tea in the morning, not too hot, with a bit of cinnamon or honey. Sit for 3 minutes and breathe gently. Feel your body waking up from the inside. You will notice the change. Maybe not instantly, but day by day, little by little. And when your hormones wake up, life feels brighter, lighter, more inspired, not just in intimacy, but in everything. My dear friends, if this message resonates with you, if you felt out of fire after age 50, or if you want a natural solution your body can accept long-term, give maca a chance. And if you find this video helpful, I hope you will hit like to support positive content. Share this video with men who need it. Subscribe and turn on notifications for the next part. And leave a comment, your story, your questions, your journey. My dear friends, there is something I've learned in more than 30 years as a doctor. A man's body does not grow weak because of age. It grows weak when the blood stops flowing the way it used to. And after age 50, the slowdown in circulation isn't something you notice immediately. It comes gradually: a little coldness in your feet, a deeper fatigue in the afternoon, a short breath when climbing a few stairs, and sometimes a slower response in intimacy. But there is one tea I place at the top when talking about circulation: cinnamon tea. Cinnamon isn't just a spice in fall desserts or winter lattes. When it enters the body, it acts like a slow-burning flame, warm, steady, powerful, awakening blood vessels that haven't worked at full capacity for years. I remember one of my patients, Richard, 67, a former Marine, strong, disciplined, proud. But when he came to see me, he looked different, quieter, more distant, carrying a worry that men often don't know how to say out loud. Doctor, he said, my heart is fine, my blood sugar is fine, but my body feels cold. I know you know what I mean. I did. Not because he said it, but because hundreds of men have told me the exact same thing. Men after 50 often feel cold in places where they don't want to feel cold. And that affects more than physical health. It touches confidence, emotions, and intimacy. I asked him, have you ever tried cinnamon tea? He chuckled. Cinnamon tea, I thought that was a Christmas drink. I smiled. It's also a drink for age 50, 60, and 70. If you want to wake your blood up, this is one of the best ways to begin. What's special about cinnamon is this. When it enters the body, it naturally relaxes the blood vessels and improves circulation. No shock, no racing heartbeat, no forced reaction. Just warm, steady, stronger blood flow. And when blood flows well, you notice the difference. One morning you'll wake up and your hands and feet won't be cold. One afternoon you won't feel tired as quickly. One evening when you want intimacy, your body responds better. Simple but real. I've seen this again and again throughout my career. Scientifically, cinnamon has 3 qualities that make it a vitality tea for older men. It stabilizes blood sugar, crucial because high blood sugar damages blood vessels in sensitive areas faster than anything else. It increases nitric oxide, the same chemical many intimacy medications rely on to open blood vessels. It raises deep internal heat, helping blood move powerfully to where the body needs it most. In other words, cinnamon doesn't just warm your mouth, it warms your life. When I told Richard to drink 1 cup of cinnamon tea every night before bed, I said, don't check your body every day. Let it change in its own rhythm. 3 weeks later, he returned, and he didn't need to say a word. The look in his eyes said everything. He finally said, Doctor, my body feels warm again. And last night, for the first time in years, I felt like myself. He didn't say the word intimacy, but we both understood. When blood comes back to life, everything comes back to life. What I love most about cinnamon tea is this. It brings a warmth that feels deeply human, not a harsh stimulant, not a surge followed by exhaustion. It's like lighting a candle in a dark room, not blinding, not loud, but enough to help you see your path again. Many patients tell me, Doctor, I drink cinnamon tea every night, and it feels like someone turned my switch back on. I believe them. If your blood pressure is a bit high, don't worry. When used properly, cinnamon tea is safe and incredibly good for circulation. If your blood sugar is high or you're pre-diabetic, cinnamon tea is one of your strongest allies. If your hands, feet, or important areas ever feel cold, cinnamon tea is absolutely worth trying. You don't need something luxurious. Sometimes just a pinch of cinnamon and a cup of hot water is enough to change your life. My dear friends, if what I've shared makes you curious, hopeful, or simply feels right, remember that this is only one small part of the long journey we're walking together. And if you'd like to support this journey, I hope you will. Hit like so YouTube knows this content is helpful. Share this video with the men you care about, subscribe, and turn on notifications for the next part. And leave a comment. I want to hear your story. My dear friends, when it comes to men's vitality after age 50, very few people think about something that seems completely unrelated: silent, chronic inflammation. But I want to share a truth most men never hear. Many issues with vitality: reduced desire, weaker erections, low energy, poor response in intimacy, don't start with hormones or circulation. They start with inflammation. Inflammation stiffens blood vessels. Inflammation lowers testosterone. Inflammation causes deep, lingering fatigue. Inflammation keeps the nervous system under constant stress. And eventually, inflammation makes a man feel like he's not himself anymore. That's why I want to talk to you about turmeric tea, a simple drink with the power to restore the body from the ground up. Let me tell you a story about a man I will never forget. Thomas, 63, once a construction supervisor, strong, steady, fearless. But years of heavy work, constant stress, irregular meals, and long days left him stuck in a state of chronic exhaustion. He told me, "Doctor, nothing hurts badly, but my whole body feels tight, achy, and heavy. I have no energy for anything, not even intimacy." When I looked at his health records, the first thing that appeared was chronic inflammation. Men don't pay attention to this. We ignore small aches, restless nights, and heaviness in the shoulders, back, or knees. But those are signs of inflammation, and inflammation is the silent enemy of vitality. I asked him, "Have you ever tried turmeric tea?" He laughed. "Turmeric tea? I only use turmeric when I twist my ankle," I said. "Well, it's time for turmeric to help you with something else, bringing your body back to life." Turmeric contains curcumin, one of the most powerful anti-inflammatory compounds in nature. Once inside the body, curcumin begins clearing silent inflammation in blood vessel cells, joints, the problems nearly all men over 50 experience. And when inflammation goes down, the first things to recover are circulation, hormones, energy, desire, and the body's natural response in intimacy. Not because turmeric stimulates, but because it restores the environment where testosterone and nitric oxide can work properly. Think of the body as a machine. If the machine is rusty and inflamed, adding more fuel won't help. But once the rust is cleaned, the engine runs like new. Turmeric tea is the thing that cleans that rust. When I had Thomas drink 1 cup of turmeric tea each night with a pinch of black pepper to increase absorption, I told him, "This won't be an instant miracle, but in 10-14 days, you will feel a change you didn't expect." And I was right. 2 weeks later, he returned with a bright smile. "Doctor, I'm sleeping deeper. My knees feel easier. I wake with more energy, and my wife says I look stronger." We both knew what stronger meant. Scientifically, turmeric provides exactly what men over 50 need. It reduces inflammation in blood vessels, making it easier for blood to reach sensitive areas. It increases nitric oxide, essential for natural erections. It improves circulation. It lowers oxidative stress, preventing cells from aging faster. It supports the liver, the organ that keeps hormones stable. And most importantly, turmeric doesn't push the body to respond. It frees the body so it can respond naturally. This makes the improvement gentle, natural, and very long-lasting. Imagine this: a garden covered in dry leaves, debris, and dust. You can't grow anything healthy unless you clean it first. Turmeric is that quiet, patient gardener, clearing the space so life can bloom again. When inflammation clears, every system returns to rhythm. And men return to their true strength. I've had many men in their 60s tell me, "Doctor, I thought my vitality dropped because of age." Turns out it was inflammation. We blame age, but the real culprit is years of tiny, unnoticed problems. 1 warm cup of turmeric tea each night, slow, calm, intentional, can be the first step to healing from within. It won't change your life overnight, but it might make you wake up one morning and realize, "I feel lighter. I slept better. My body aches less. I feel more like a man again." That's what I've seen in countless patients over the past 30 years. My dear friends, if you want a natural, safe, long-term way to restore vitality and energy after 50, turmeric is an exceptional companion. And if you find this message helpful, I hope you'll stay with me through this journey. Hit like to spread the value. Share this video with friends, family, or any man who needs it. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next part. And please leave a comment, your story, your questions, or your experience. My dear friends, throughout my career, I've realized something that most men overlook. Vitality doesn't start in the body. Vitality begins in the mind. Because for men over 50, we are often not weak because of poor circulation, not weak because hormones drop, but weak because the mind becomes heavy with worries, responsibilities, and unspoken emotional weight. A heavy mind, unbalanced hormones. Unbalanced hormones, reduced desire, lower confidence, reduced vitality. And from there, a quiet cycle begins, one that makes many men feel farther away from themselves than ever. That's why I want to dedicate this entire section to a tiny but powerful tea that improves mood hormones and intimacy in the most gentle way. Saffron tea. Many people think of saffron as an expensive spice in Middle Eastern cooking. But in both traditional medicine and modern science, saffron is considered the golden light because it can illuminate the darker corners of our mind. Let me tell you about a patient named Edward, 65. He was a smart man, successful in his career, but carrying heavy emotional weight, worrying about his children, caring for a wife with mild illness, stressing about finances after retirement. He told me, "Doctor, I don't feel joy anymore. Not deep depression, just a constant heaviness like a gray cloud hanging over my head. And intimacy with my wife? I don't feel anything." He paused and quietly added, "I feel like I'm slowly shutting down." I looked at him and I understood. Because the strongest men, the ones who never allow themselves to fall, are often the ones whose bodies break in silence. I suggested he try a small cup of saffron tea every evening before bed, not to stimulate him, but to calm the mind. Modern medicine confirms this mental stress is one of the biggest causes of reduced male vitality. Saffron has a unique effect. It boosts serotonin and dopamine, the two chemicals responsible for happiness, motivation, and emotional connection. You may not realize this, but low serotonin, low desire, low dopamine, no excitement. High stress, testosterone drops by half, which means if you want the body to be strong, the mind must be light first. Saffron tea does exactly that. 2 weeks later, Edward returned. He walked in with a soft smile, and I knew immediately what had changed. "Doctor, my mind feels brighter. I sleep better. The heaviness is gone, and I'm starting to feel my desire again." Then he slowly said something I still remember. "I feel like I'm coming back to myself." I love that word, coming back, because saffron doesn't make you someone else. It brings you back to the strongest version of who you already are. Scientifically, saffron has 4 key effects older men desperately need. It increases serotonin, improves mood, reduces anxiety. It increases dopamine, boosts motivation, restores natural desire. It lowers cortisol, reduces stress, stabilizes male hormones. It gently widens blood vessels, supports circulation during intimacy, and the best part, saffron works subtly. No strong stimulation, no racing heart, no forcing the body. It feels like a soft golden light shining inside the mind, warm, gentle, and illuminating. A cup of saffron tea in the evening becomes a small ritual, a moment to put down the weight of the day. It helps you sleep deeper, and deep sleep is the foundation of testosterone. It calms the mind, and a calm mind is the foundation of desire. It balances hormones, and balanced hormones are the foundation of vitality. Many men tell me, "Doctor, I didn't know saffron was this powerful." It doesn't make me explode with energy. It makes me steady and alive. Exactly. True vitality isn't explosive. True vitality is steady, confident, present. Try this tonight. Brew a light saffron tea, just 3 to 5 strands. Sit down, breathe slowly, take one small sip. You will feel a soft calm within minutes. A calm many men have forgotten they once had, a sense of peace. And when peace returns, desire, strength, and connection follow. My dear friends, if this message gives you hope, if you've carried emotional heaviness, if you want clarity in your mind and strength in your body, try saffron, small, gentle, but far more powerful than you think. And if you'd like to support this journey, I hope you will. Hit like so more men can find this message. Share this video with a friend, a brother, or anyone who needs it. Subscribe and turn on notifications for the next part. And leave a comment, how are you feeling, and what would you like me to talk about next? My dear friends, when we talk about men's vitality after age 50, we often think about circulation, hormones, mood. But there is another silent factor that affects you more than you think: visceral fat. Visceral fat, the fat that sits around the liver, intestines, and vital organs, is the hidden enemy of men over 50. It lowers testosterone. It causes chronic inflammation. It reduces desire and erection quality. It makes the body heavy, slow, and tired. And many men tell me, doctor, I still eat the same way I used to, but my body is changing so quickly. That's the effect of visceral fat. It increases with age, even when your weight doesn't change much. So is there a tea that helps reduce visceral fat, raise testosterone, boost energy, and improve vitality? Yes. And that tea is matcha, the concentrated Japanese green tea, known as the silent warrior for men's health. I remember a patient named Andrew, 58, a businessman, always traveling, eating quickly, sleeping little, stressed often. He came to me and said, "Doctor, I'm losing both strength and drive. In the morning, I need 2 to 3 cups of coffee just to wake up. By afternoon, I'm exhausted. And intimacy, I don't feel the excitement I used to." I asked him, "Have you ever tried matcha?" He shook his head. "I thought matcha was something young people drink for photos." I laughed. "No, it's a drink for men who want to reclaim the strength they had at 30. I gave him a simple routine. 1 warm, light cup of matcha every morning. The best thing about matcha, unlike coffee, matcha doesn't give you a spike and then a crash. Matcha gives a calm, deep, steady energy thanks to L-theanine, an energy that lets you stay alert without shaking, stay focused without tension, and most importantly, stay energized all day, something men over 50 desperately need. Scientifically, matcha supports men's health in 3 systems at once. 1. Circulation. Matcha contains EGCG, a powerful antioxidant that clears blood vessels, improves circulation, and supports natural erections. 2. Hormones. EGCG and L-theanine reduce stress, the biggest reason testosterone drops sharply in older men. Less stress, more testosterone, stronger desire and vitality. 3. Visceral fat. This is the most important. Matcha burns visceral fat gently but extremely effectively. And when visceral fat goes down, testosterone rises naturally, more powerfully than most supplements. When Andrew returned 1 month later, he had changed dramatically. He said, "Doctor, I don't need coffee anymore. I stay sharp all day, sleep better, my belly feels lighter, and my intimate energy is coming back." Then he added with a grin, "My wife noticed before I did." I laugh because this happens all the time. When men regain true energy, not fake stimulation, but real strength, their wives notice first. Matcha has another unique effect. It clears the mind, makes it bright and light again. Many patients tell me, "Doctor, when I drink matcha, I feel like I'm back at 35 or 40, focused, awake, full of energy." And that feeling is powerful. Because when you feel sharp, you feel confident. When you feel confident, your hormones rise. And when hormones rise, vitality returns. Everything connects naturally. Imagine this. You start your morning not with coffee that spikes your heart and crashes later, but with a warm, smooth green cup of matcha. Sip slowly. Energy spreads through your body, calm, steady, strong. No rush, no crash, no strain. Just one feeling: I'm ready for today. And for men over 50, that feeling is priceless. In medicine, we say to increase vitality, improve the quality of blood and the quality of energy. Matcha does both. It cleans blood vessels. It increases oxygen. It reduces inflammation. It burns fat. It calms the mind. And it keeps testosterone healthy, not explosive like medication, but steady like nature. My dear friends, if you feel your body slowing down, getting heavier, struggling to focus, or tiring easily, if you want a tea that restores masculine strength from the inside, if you want something that keeps you sharp, calm, and energized all day, matcha is one of the best choices you can make. And if this message helps you, I truly hope you will hit like so more people can find this video. Share it with family, friends, or any man over 50. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next part. And leave a comment. Tell me your experience or your questions. My dear friends, we've walked a long journey together from ginger, red, ginseng, maca, cinnamon, turmeric, saffron, all the way to matcha. Each tea has its own story, its own strength, its own unique healing. But they all share one purpose: to help men over 50 reclaim natural strength, confidence, and vitality. Today, in this final part, I want to share with you the most important thing: how to bring all 7 teas into your life over 30 days to create real change, not just in your body, but in your mind. I don't want you to simply listen and forget. I want you to experience it. And that experience must begin with a simple yet meaningful plan. Let me tell you a special story, one I've carried with me throughout my years of practice. A patient named George, 70 years old. He didn't come to me because he was sick. He came because he wanted to live the rest of his life fully. He said, "Doctor, I don't want 70 to be the finish line. I want 70 to be the beginning of a new chapter, but I don't know where to start." I looked at him, a man who had walked through an entire lifetime, and I said, "You'll start with something very small, a cup of tea, but not just a cup of tea, a 30-day journey." He smiled, and I handed him the roadmap I'm about to share with you. Week 1, Awakening Ginger and Cinnamon. The first week isn't meant to create big changes. It's meant to wake up blood vessels that have been asleep for years. Morning ginger tea, evening cinnamon tea. Your body begins to warm up. Circulation opens. You feel a little lighter. Tension in the shoulders, chest, and back begins to ease. I told George, give your body a chance to remember how it worked when you were 35. And after 1 week, he felt subtle, but very real changes. Week 2, energy and hormones, red ginseng and maca. The second week is when the body turns the engine on. Morning red ginseng tea, afternoon masa tea. This is the week most men feel the biggest difference. Stronger morning energy, increased stamina, more stable mood. Desire starts returning, George said, "Doctor. It feels like someone flipped a switch I thought had been off for years." I smiled and said, "No one flipped it, your body did." Week 3, cleanse and restore, turmeric and saffron. Week 3 is the most important week. This is when the body begins clearing what has built up over years. Silent inflammation, nervous tension, deep fatigue. Evening turmeric tea. Before bed saffron tea. This is the week men like George say, "I'm sleeping deeper, and for the first time in years I wake up without heaviness in my body." Deep sleep for men over 50 is the ultimate medicine. And saffron, though small, does what sleeping pills cannot. It calms the mind without shutting it down. Week 4, accelerate and stabilize matcha. Plus your choice. The final week combines everything you've unlocked. Morning matcha. Afternoon, choose one of the 7 teas based on how your body feels. Evening, saffron or turmeric. This is the week men often tell me, "Doctor, I feel alive, not just existing, but alive with steady, deep inner energy." George said, "I didn't just return to who I was. I became a better version of myself." Then he smiled gently. The strange thing is, I started with just 1 cup of tea, and after 30 days, what happens? Ask yourself, if each tea has power, what happens when you combine all 7 in the right rhythm at the right time? I've seen the answer many times. Stronger blood vessels, more stable hormones, a clearer mind, deeper sleep, more energy, desire returning naturally. And most importantly, men begin to feel like themselves again. Not a temporary boost from medicine, but strength from within, slow, steady, and real. My dear friends, we've walked a long journey together, and I want you to remember this. There is no age too late to begin caring for your vitality. There is no age too late to return to yourself. There's no age too late to love, to connect, to feel strong, to live fully. You only need to begin with 1 cup of tea. If the things I've shared in this series have helped you, I hope you will hit like, so YouTube knows this has value. Share the video with a friend, a brother, or someone who needs it. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss what comes next. And leave a comment. Tell me your journey, your story. I'm Dr. James Walker, and it has been my honor to walk with you on this journey to restore the natural strength of a man.